All right here on India Today, we break to you first. RPN Singh has quit the Congress party, is likely to be joining the BJP at 2:30 p.m. this afternoon. This is the first reaction that we get from the Congress party. P. Chidambaram has now tweeted, and I quote, "Disappointing to see RPN Singh join the inglorious list of people, including Jitin Prasada and Scindia." This is a reaction coming in, the first reaction coming in from a Congress member. Karti P. Chidambaram has now tweeted saying, "Disappointing to see RPN Singh join the inglorious list of people, including Jitin Prasada and Scindia." This is the words of Karti Chidambaram, who's reacted first right after RPN Singh has now decided to quit the Congress party and join the BJP. Now, let me cut across to Paulmi on that. Paulmi, Karti P. Chidambaram has now tweeted, reacting, saying it's disappointing to see RPN Singh join the BJP. In his own words that he's written, give us more reactions coming in. What is the Congress really saying with this regard? Their heavyweight, someone who's been their loyalist, parting ways now. No reaction coming in from the Congress. Have they even tried to pacify RPN Singh at all? Maushami, if you are with us. All right, Paulmi joining us on that. Paulmi, take us through what reactions are coming in. We know that the BJP is all set to induct RPN Singh in moments from now. Possibly 2:30 is the timing that they seem to have confirmed. Any role that they have in mind for RPN Singh to assume?
Well, RPN Singh has been an MLA of Padrauna, so there was a lot of speculation earlier this morning that, there's a possibility that he could be, in fact, fielded against Swami Prasad Maurya, who, in fact, is a former BJP government minister. He was part of the Yogi Adityanath cabinet in Uttar Pradesh and was one of the first to jump ship just a couple of weeks ago from the BJP to the Samajwadi Party, in fact, setting off that exodus that happened from the BJP and its allies towards the Samajwadi Party. So there was a lot of speculation, but it remains to be seen whether indeed, RPN Singh does contest from Padrauna. He obviously is a heavyweight from the area, though he was feeling very sidelined and had been very inactive, so to say, as far as the daily affairs of the Congress was concerned. For a very long time, he was feeling quite disgruntled as well, even though, like Supriya was telling us earlier, he did enjoy the important charge of AICC Jharkhand, in charge of Jharkhand, which is, of course, it is quite important for the Congress party. But he was obviously feeling that he was not being utilized as much within the Congress, and, of course, the prospects of the Congress party going forward was something that exactly did not enthuse him, as a result of which he had been, in fact, speculating, a possible jumping from the ship towards the Bharatiya Janata Party. We'd heard on various occasions previously, Nabila, that RPN Singh was in touch with the Bharatiya Janata Party, that it was only a matter of time before he switched from the BJP to the Congress party, even ahead of the 2019 Lok Sabha elections. Speculation and buzz was rife that RPN Singh could possibly be fielded by the BJP in the Lok Sabha elections, but that did not materialize. It remains.
All right, Paulmi, they're tracking those developments. Likely that RPN Singh will be joining the BJP. In fact, the confirmation from the BJP side has already come in. 2:30 p.m. is when he's going to be inducted formally into the BJP. Supriya Bharadwaj there, standing right outside the Congress headquarters in Delhi. Supriya, any word from the Congress so far? This comes as a serious setback for the Congress ahead of polls in Uttar Pradesh. He was also the star campaigner for Jharkhand, we believe, has held meaty roles in the past as part of the Congress member. Today, he has felt sidelined, so much so has resigned from the party itself. Any word on what exactly was he looking for? Was he vying at a particular role or position that he wanted, which was refused by the Congress, which is why he's now decided to move? All right, we're going to try and patch our reporters back again. This seems to be a glitchy connection, but here, India Today tracking these developments coming in. RPN Singh, a heavyweight of the Congress party, has now decided to call it quits from the Congress. Will be joining the BJP at 2:30 p.m. All right, back to Supriya. Supriya, if you can hear me, Congress Party, in fact, RPN Singh has been looked at as a loyalist. RPN Singh as a Congress loyalist, that's what he has been looked at and perceived. Largely has played important roles as part of the Congress member. He's been a three-time MLA. He was an ex-minister as well. Today, he feels so sidelined that he's decided to call it quits on the Congress itself. Clearly comes as a shocker, but was he really vying at any position or post which was refused to him to why he's made this decision?
Well, as far as the Congress party is concerned, they are maintaining what else can we give to RPN Singh. This is what the line the Congress party has taken at the moment. We spoke to a lot of leaders. They said that RPN Singh at a very young age was made the cabinet minister. He was in the Dr. Manmohan Singh cabinet. And then when the Congress government, the UPA 2, went out of power, he was given the portfolio of very important state, that is the Jharkhand. At the same time also, he was part of the CWC, the apex decision-making body of the Congress party. He was also the national spokesperson. This is what the Congress party is maintaining, that we have given a lot, and this is a time when the Congress party is going through a deep struggle, when the leaders should come out and support the party, the organization. If you remember, Rahul Gandhi also in the past had mentioned that this is the time when everybody has to come together and work. Priyanka Gandhi in that interview with Maushami Singh had already said, because she is the in charge of Uttar Pradesh, had categorically stated that she didn't even try to stop Jitin Prasad and others, because right now the priority is to work for the ideology, for the organization, and not the opportunities. Now this is what the Congress party has to maintain. We will hear just more about it in a couple of minutes, because Congress's official press conference is all set to take place just in a short while, when Supriya Shrinet and Gaurav Vallabh will be talking, and the main key issue at the moment will be that of Uttar Pradesh and what has happened there. One of the tallest leaders, RPN Singh, has resigned. Also, the Congress is now keeping a close watch on the Jharkhand, where RPN Singh was the in charge, and that is the area where we are hearing that there are a lot of murmurs now. People are going all out. They're trying to understand what will be the fallout of RPN Singh resigning Congress and joining BJP is concerned. Well, certainly, yes, this is a time when the Congress party has to look into the issue, because one after the other, there is another big chunk, the G23 group, which is saying that right now also a soul searching should take place. But as far as the other side is concerned, the Congress is maintaining that we don't have place for opportunists. This is a very, very hard stand that the Congress party is taking as far as RPN Singh and other leaders are concerned. How it is going to pan out, we have to see, because right now RPN Singh has not said anything, and as far as the Congress is also concerned, officially nothing has been spoken. Whatever is happening from behind. It's the shadow boxing which is going on. As far as Uttar Pradesh is concerned, it is a very, very important election for the Congress party, because none other than Congress's General Secretary in charge is Priyanka Gandhi, and they have gone all out and are fighting for what is a revival of the Congress party in Uttar Pradesh. This is how it was being pegged, and now RPN Singh has left the party, and we are hearing that he'll be joining BJP soon.
Well, Supriya, we know that RPN Singh has had quite a glorious career graph. If you see over the years, he's managed to win 3 times Assembly elections, attempted at MP elections, won once. But it's been a while now since he's really been so active, or rather has won from a seat so long. Now, let me take you through, though, to our viewers on RP Singh's journey so far. RP Singh, of course, as we know, hails from a royal family. In fact, he has won the Padrauna Assembly seat thrice from Uttar Pradesh. He's contested Lok Sabha election in 1996. And he was, in fact, defeated then by BJP's Ramnagina Mishra in 1996 in Lok Sabha polls, and then managed to win Lok Sabha polls elections again for the first time in 2009, where he managed victory there. He was elected MP from Kushinagar constituency in 2009 and held the post of MOS Home under the UPA government. RPN Singh now, as of today, January 2022, resigns from the Congress party, is likely today itself to be joining the BJP. I'm going to cut across to Supriya yet again. Supriya, we saw RPN Singh's trajectory. He clearly, it's been a while since he has come back to power or won a constituency, and this time he wants to reshape his political career. It appears he wants to make the move, and maybe with the BJP is hoping for a meteor role where he feels more relevant since he's been out of power for quite a while now. A lot of talk about how he was sidelined within the Congress. He was hoping to get some a more responsible position, a role that he was hoping to get, but he hasn't, which is why he's made this decision. I asked you then, I'm asking you again now, was there something in particular that he wanted which he was refused? Supriya, if you can hear us. All right, I'm going to try and patch Supriya there. Paulami still stays on with us. She's at the BJP office. Remember, at 2:30 p.m. is when the BJP has confirmed that RPN Singh will be formally inducted into the BJP. Paulami, give us an insight. What does the BJP have in mind for RPN Singh? Of course, this comes as a massive political one-upmanship for the BJP, undoubtedly bragging rights for them now that RPN Singh, Congress heavyweight, a Gandhi family loyalist, has joined them or will be joining them in moments from now. It comes as a moment for the BJP to thoroughly boast ahead of Uttar Pradesh polls. Anything specific that the BJP has in mind for RPN Singh?
Well, Nabila, we are yet to find out as to what the BJP has offered RPN Singh. If you look at the career graph of RPN Singh, while of course he was a three-term MLA between 1996 and 2009, eventually represented the constituency of Kushinagar, under which the Padrauna Assembly constituency falls till about 2014, when of course the BJP swept to power. He contested from Kushinagar in 2014, lost. He contested again in 2019, he lost. So he's basically been someone who's not exactly, paid off in terms of electoral dividends for a while. So a lot of people, of course, are taking pot shots within the Congress party, saying what exactly was he bringing to the table that we should have offered him much more than what he was already getting. So it remains to be seen how the BJP views this, and the BJP, of course, has to see will possibly analyze his influence and how much of it actually sort of spreads across his constituency, especially his parliamentary constituency the last time round, Kushinagar, in which Padrauna falls. So is it limited just to Kushinagar? Is he someone who's considered to be a pan-Uttar Pradesh face? I doubt that, and hence it is going to be interesting what the BJP has had to offer, because like I said, this is not the first time that speculation in fact was generated that RPN Singh could be switching over to the BJP ahead of the assembly elections in Uttar Pradesh. This has been something which has been speculated over previously as well, especially because of his utterances also in the recent years, when of course for instance, when the BJP government at the centre abrogated Article 370 in 2019, RPN Singh in an internal meeting of the Congress party did say that you have to, before you jump right in to oppose the centre's move, you have to gauge the public mood as well and how the nation is viewing this decision of the central government. Very recently, of course, he was one of the leaders who signed that G23 a letter as well to the Congress party. For someone who was considered a part of the Rahul Gandhi camp, part of his generation of young Turks of the Congress party, he was voicing his own opinion, which was not exactly in sync with the party, and specifically that with Mr. Gandhi. For instance, I beg your pardon, in 2019 at one of the CWC meetings, he said that we can attack the policies and the programs of the BJP government, but let's not take personal pot shots at Prime Minister Modi. That did not go down very well with Rahul Gandhi, who is known to attack the Prime Minister quite directly on social media and otherwise as well. He was quite upset with that suggestion. So clearly, he has been voicing his difference of opinion from the Congress party for a while. So it remains to be seen now what the BJP has offered to him, because eventually in this equation, Nabila, between Mr. RPN Singh and the BJP, it is the BJP which is on a higher pedestal simply in this equation at a higher scale because Mr. RPN Singh, like I said, has electorally not, won for a very, very long time. So what he brings to the table, whatever he brings to the table will be analyzed by the BJP because, like I said, the understanding is that his influence is limited to Kushinagar constituency itself, parliamentary constituency itself. So for someone like that, what the BJP has to offer, it remains to be seen. When Jitin Prasada came into the party as well last year, again, it was known that Jitin Prasada's influence did not exactly spread across the entire state of Uttar Pradesh in terms of caste politics, but he was, of course, inducted into the Yogi cabinet as was anticipated at that point of time. Mr. RPN Singh, we of course believe that he wants a role at the center, but will the BJP want him to go back to his assembly constituency of 1996 to 2009, Padrauna, and contest the assembly elections to prove his mettle?
Well, Polemy, we're already looking at reactions coming in from several opposition parties, including the TMC there. Mahua Moitra, they're hitting out saying RPN is not Congress heavyweight, he is Congress's deadweight. Him moving really makes no difference, and he's never won a seat for a while, for a decade now. He's not won a seat, so why call him a heavyweight? That's the kind of responses coming in from the TMC. Do you think this will be a value addition for the BJP with RPN Singh joining the BJP?
Well, Nabila, at the end of the day, there is, of course, the electoral value, and there is, of course, the perception dent as well. When, of course, the Bharatiya Janata Party recently inducted Mulayam Singh Yadav's daughter-in-law, Aparna Yadav, into the BJP, her electoral value and its limitations are known to everyone. She, of course, wants to contest from Lucknow Cant. Her own party was not very willing to give her a ticket from that very seat from where they did give her a ticket in 2017, and she lost. So she, of course, anticipated that, and the Bharatiya Janata Party took her on board. Then, of course, for them, it was more about the perception dent that they've created, that they've broken into the Yadav family and brought one of their own, someone extremely close to Mulayam Singh Yadav, and brought her into the Bharatiya Janata Party fold. So it is about the perception dent. When you look at the recent the string of leaders who've left from the Congress party who are considered to be quote-unquote young Turks. You talk about Jitin Prasada. Of course, it started with Mr. Jyotiraditya Scindia, Jitin Prasada, Sushmita Dev, Priyanka Chaturvedi, Lalitesh Tripathi, and now, of course, RPN Singh. It is a perception dent as far as the BJP is concerned. What they're doing is they're breaking into the Rahul Gandhi brigade, and they're basically, putting question marks on the party. Here, the question mark will be on Congress's General Secretary and Uttar Pradesh in charge, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, that she, of course, has not been able to keep the unit together. And two prominent names have left in the recent past now. That includes at least three, I would say: Jitin Prasada, Lalitesh Tripathi, and now RPN Singh. So it's the perception dent as far as the BJP is concerned.
Absolutely, Polemy. Undoubtedly, this comes as a huge booster for the BJP, for them to brag at least that Gandhi loyalists now, one after the other, dumping the party, joining the BJP. Now, this comes right ahead of polls in Uttar Pradesh, so perception-wise, certainly emboldens the BJP, undoubtedly. But again, I'd like to ask you, if you can describe for us, is there anything that RPN Singh and the BJP have had in talks as to what kind of role he will assume? We understand that he's not looking at contesting from Uttar Pradesh any longer. He's looking at a more central role for himself.
Well, again, Nabila, we'll have to wait to find out. At the moment, of course, the BJP is extremely tight-lipped on what deal has been struck, so to say, between Mr. RPN Singh and the party. We do believe that in the past couple of days, while he's been in Delhi, of course, we were told earlier that, his mother-in-law is not very well. She's in ICU, and he is in Delhi for those reasons. But we do believe that he's had some high-profile meetings while he's been here in Delhi. And, it remains to be seen what sort of a deal has been been struck as to whether he will possibly get a central role, because like I said, as far as this negotiation is concerned, the BJP has the upper hand in this negotiation, and it is their terms and conditions which Mr. RPN Singh will have to abide by. So it remains to be seen, because as far as the central role is concerned, that is not something that's going to be very immediate. If at all he sought a place in the Union Council of Ministers, that's not going to be immediate, because the last rejig that you saw of over 40 plus ministers in the Modi cabinet, that is as big as rejigs go, and unlikely that the Prime Minister is going to have any sort of another rejig before 2024. So if at all Mr. RPN Singh has ambitions of a central role, it will take some time. He could be accommodated within the organization first, and then in the government maybe later. If at all the BJP again comes back to power in 2014, Mr. RPN Singh is pitted from some Lok Sabha constituency, possibly Kushinagar again, he wins it, then maybe accommodated in government at that point of time. But immediately it seems a little difficult. As far as fighting from Padrauna is concerned against Swami Prasad Maurya, like I said, what we hear from our sources close to Mr. RPN Singh is that he's not very keen to contest for an MLA seat, especially having graduated out of that in 2009. So he's looking for a bigger role. He's looking for a role in Delhi itself. So it remains to be seen if Mr. RPN Singh has been convinced by the BJP to fight this assembly election, because 2024 is still a long way off. Take this election head on, prove your mettle, and you can always quit your post in 2024, quit your MLA seat if you do indeed win from Padrauna, contest the Lok Sabha elections in 2024 and take it from there on.
All right, we'll see how that pans out for RPN Singh, but doesn't really seems like he wants to take the electoral plunge right away. At least doesn't seem like he's so confident, is it, Maushami? TMC already sending out some sharp remarks, very sarcastic remarks there. Mahua Moitra saying that he's a deadweight, not a heavyweight. He's not won a seat in a decade. Really does not matter if he moves. So really, has RPN Singh lost touch? Do you believe that he is now trying to sort of remodel himself and reprofile himself now with the BJP?
See, Nabila, even as we stand outside RPN's residence, and I can tell you that we'll wait for these gates to open and get you the first picture of RPN Singh as he leaves for the BJP headquarters. That will be about 20 to 30-minute drive, considering the traffic. But as you said, see, the main point is that this is about the perception battle, as Paulami also highlighted. Secondly, it's not only Uttar Pradesh, though, of course, the elections are around the corner, and the Congress, the BJP would be looking to boost its fortunes in Purvachal. But it's also, importantly, we are forgetting a fact that RPN is in charge of a state where the Congress is in power. It's an alliance, and apparently RPN holds clout over more than 12 to 15 MLAs of the Congress party in Jharkhand. So surely the BJP, when it gets RPN to its side, would be looking at Jharkhand very keenly, because that was a very bloody blow for the BJP as far as, losing Jharkhand is concerned. It's a mineral-rich state, and the BJP was very keen to retain Jharkhand. So somewhere RPN's exit also throws light on the fast developing situation in Jharkhand. There are 12 MLAs that are loyal to RPN, and that could also be a factor when the BJP rolled out the red carpet for RPN. Secondly, as Paulami said, it is important that RPN is looking for a role in Delhi. He's done and dusted with politics of the state, but that could perhaps change, because he has a very good equation with Yogi Adityanath. When he was the Minister of State for Surface and Road Transport, he had a very good equation with Yogi Adityanath, and there were several projects apparently which he had passed on the request of the Gorakhpur MP at that point of time. So that's very keen. And thirdly, RPN's exit is more so the timing of it all suits the BJP. If RPN was looking for a role at the center, and the BJP was not committed to it. He could have waited for the battle 2024 to near. But with the fact that the timing of it all, with Congress now putting him in the cold storage, the BJP really thought that RPN could pull some weight and change the dynamics in Uttar Pradesh. So that's very important. And the writing was writ large on the wall. If you say that the Congress leadership didn't know, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra didn't know that RPN was feeling sidelined, it's not true, because in the rally in Varanasi, RPN went and sat in the back benches, amongst the back benches. Priyanka was sitting in front with Ajay Lallu, and Ajay Lallu went. It's a very interesting incident. Ajay Lallu went and pleaded to RPN, requested him to come in front, and RPN apparently was miffed. Of course, that was after a long time that he was called for a public event in Uttar Pradesh. So RPN was not too keen to come and sit in the front row. And it was only after Priyanka Gandhi sent emissaries that he agreed to come and sit in the front row along with Priyanka Gandhi Vadra sitting next to Bhupesh Baghel. So that really speaks of the equation that he shared with Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, his changing equation with the Gandhi family after he asserted that there shouldn't be direct personal attacks at Prime Minister Narendra Modi. That he thought was bad politics, and it cost the Congress party the elections in 2019. So we cannot discount the fact that RPN was a seasoned politician. He did lose consecutive 2 elections, but the fact, as far as the perception is concerned, as far as his acumen is concerned, that could not be discounted, and that's where his supporters felt let down by the Congress party. It's all right, you don't have a lot of clout in Uttar Pradesh, but whatever stage you have, they felt that their leaders should have been accommodated in a proper light, in the proper manner, and that's why they felt left out. And increasingly there was pressure on RPN to prove his political relevance in his home constituency, Padrauna, where Ajay Lallu was also, enlarging his footprints, and that's what irked RPN, that consistently, despite his family association with the Gandhi family, RPN was simply put in the cold storage. So we'll wait. We are right outside RPN's residence. We'll wait for him to depart. One of the many exits, Nabila, after Jyotiraditya Scindia was standing outside his house when he exited.
Yeah.
Jitin Prasad, he did go and meet Amit Shah, and we were tracking that. And now yet again, Nabila, standing outside RPN Singh's residence, one thing I can say, that the Congress party is unable to cap the exodus.
They need to buck up undoubtedly if they really want to be considered as a legitimate opposition, a significant fight for the BJP. Clearly, they've got to buck up, pull up their sock, but accommodate. You said accommodate. Several senior leaders were hoping that RPN Singh should be accommodated. Accommodate where? Where could possibly the Congress have accommodated him or elevated him to? Do you think this is an opportunist move that he's now the BJP is in government? Of course, this may have been a more opportunist move for RPN Singh, for him to really be part of the government's functioning at this time, because Congress clearly right now has no role. But stay with us, Maushami, before I come to you. Tom Vadakan joining us on the phone line, BJP spokesperson. Mr. Vadakan, RPN Singh likely to be joining the BJP. Several opposition parties, TMC, for example, saying he's dead weight, really adds no value. What's your take on that?
Narvida, I've known RPN Singh for quite some time, when I was on the other side. And I thought he was a very principled kind of a leader. I remember there was an issue about taking on personalities while speaking to the media. It was his view at that time we should take on the policies, not the individual. And I thought, and at a variety of occasions, this young man has always proved to be wise and is an asset to any party. And the fact that he's coming to Bharatiya Janata Party, I welcome him, because I think he will be a great asset for the Bharatiya Janata Party. You know, talent recognition in the Congress party is nil. And only when they leave, they make comments like, those who want to go can go. But the reality is, some of the pillars are coming down. They are not reading the writing on the wall. This is just not RPN Singh. This is the very idea of Congress is moving out. It's a sad day for the Congress party, but for the Bharatiya Janata Party, it's a wonderful choice to pick him and use him and see his merit and acknowledge it. I think it's a great process that has been set in.
Well, here RPN Singh has not won an election for over a decade. That's also the talk. He's also maybe not looking at at reigniting his role in state politics. He's looking at a more central leadership. He wants a role in the center. Maybe an opportunist move, one would say.
Certainly not. The RPN Singh that I know is not an opportunist. If he was, he would have been long back out of the Congress party. The reality is this young man is grounded, principled, and it is not for any opportunistic situation that he's coming to the Bharatiya Janata Party. There are certain principles he has stood for, and if that principles are being reflected in the Bharatiya Janata Party, that's coincidental. And if he comes and joins the good idea of Sabke Saath, Sabka Vikas, I think that's a very interesting process that is going to set a principle in Indian politics.
Mr. Vadakan, Karti Chidambaram has now made the first comment from the Congress. Congress so far has not reacted, let me tell you. Priyanka Gandhi, in an interview very recently to India Today, has said that she will not stop those who want to leave. So it doesn't seem like there was much attempt to pacify RPN Singh. But here, Karti Chidambaram says in his Twitter message that RPN Singh now joins the long list of inglorious people, including Jitin Prasada and Scindia. Very disappointing that he's resigned. That's what he says.
Well, that's his view, and Kartik is entitled to his view. But the point here is, we welcome him with both hands into the Bharatiya Janata Party. He was an asset for the Congress, and he's going to be a better asset for us because we cultivate merit. We look into the merit of the individual and his contribution to national development. And if he is coming back to us, I think he will be a great asset. Whatever Chidambaram's son thinks about it, that's his problem. But the reality is he is going to be an asset for the Bharatiya Janata Party.
All right, Mr. Vadakan, thank you very much. Appreciate you joining us. Let me quickly cut across. Joining us on the phone line, Sanjay Jha, who's a political analyst, for some insight and perspective here. Mr. Jha, RPN Singh has now joined the BJP. 2:30 p.m. will be the formal induction. BJP is already confirmed. Here, Tom Vadakan, BJP spokesperson, says that this is value addition. He's going to bring in a lot to the BJP, undoubtedly. But here's a man, RPN Singh, who's not been active in state politics, but yet right ahead of UP election, this move has happened. What kind of perception does the BJP want to put out here?
Well, there is no denying is that it is a victory for the BJP, which has been getting a lot of negative press for losing a lot of its talent to the Samajwadi Party in Uttar Pradesh. For the Congress, which is struggling to make a comeback, this is bad news. RPN, Jitin, Jyotiraditya, these are all young leaders who were probably seen as the future, people who would take the party forward. So this is extremely distressing news as far as the Congress is concerned. We also don't forget that, there are impact of, the perception can go not just in Uttar Pradesh, but it can go to the other states where the Congress is in a tough battle as well. So I do believe that while RPN may not have been the kind of active politician that he was during the UPA days, the fact remains that when you have been an elected MP, you have very core, loyal supporters who will vote for you. And let's face it, many of the people who lost from the Congress lost not because they were unpopular, it's because the party was getting a lot of negative flack. So I do believe that this is a shot in the arm for the BJP, even if it's more optics and atmospherics and may not have any significant impact during the election. For the Congress, one could have said that they can ill afford this kind of a lapse happening at this point of time. And I would like to say this upfront because, I have been a Congress person all my life. Largely, all this is happening is because people are not listening to their leaders. There is no conversation. The communication links within the party have become extremely weak. And therefore, I've just tweeted, people don't leave organizations.
Message, I just saw your Twitter message as well. All right, no, but Mr. Jha, do stay with us. I'm going to cut across to Supriya Srinath, who's speaking. Let's take a listen.
It has been brought to my notice through you that the leader is quitting. I still do not know where is he joining. But from this platform, I would only want to say that the kind of battle of ideology, the kind of fight that the Indian National Congress is putting up all across the country, and particularly in a state like Uttar Pradesh, is a battle against the government's resources, is a battle against agencies, it's a battle of ideology, it's a battle for truth. And to fight a battle as strongly pitched as this one, you have to fight it with courage, you have to fight it with a lot of dedication. I don't think this is meant for the coward, and like Priyanka ji has said, you need to be on your toes, you need to be full of courage. You cannot be a coward and fight this battle. From this platform, of course, I would want to wish him a glorified career ahead and the very best. मैंने इसका जवाब दिया आपको, और मैंने जवाब मुझे लगता है बिना शब्द भींचे दिया। इस जवाब को देने का सिर्फ एक ही तात्पर्य है, जैसा कि प्रियंका जी कहती हैं, ये लड़ाई साहस की है, ये लड़ाई सच की है, ये लड़ाई आइडियोलॉजी और सिद्धांत की है। और मुझे नहीं लगता कि कोई भी व्यक्ति कांग्रेस में रहकर हमारी बिल्कुल विपरीत आइडियोलॉजी की पार्टी में जा सकता है। शायद ये काम कायर ही कर सकते हैं। इसको लड़ने के लिए, इस लड़ाई को जीतने के लिए बहुत बूता चाहिए। धन्यवाद। थैंक यू। I have said it. I have said what I had.
Supriya Srinath there, the Congress spokesperson, saying it's only a coward who can resign from one party to the other when the ideology and principles of the party are exactly opposite. Now, she has made the first statement, a comment coming in formally from the Congress party there, saying that she does not know where he's joining. She heard from the media that he's possibly joining the BJP. Wherever he goes, she wishes him a glorious career. With, of course, much sarcasm, Supriya Srinath has just spoken. It appears that this comes as an official statement from the Congress party itself. Supriya Srinath, as the Congress spokesperson, has said, wishing RPN Singh a glorious career ahead. I'm not too sure where he's joining. I found out from the media itself that he's possibly joining the BJP, and one wonders how can a person join another political party like the BJP when the Congress's ideology is totally different. All right, now clearly we're looking at a big setback for the Congress party, at least in this perception war, undoubtedly. RPN Singh was certainly close to Rahul Gandhi. This comes as a setback to the Gandhi family. In fact, RPN Singh was seen as part of the young brigade under Rahul Gandhi, but yet somehow he was not satisfied under his leadership, it appears. And this time he was a three-time MLA from Uttar Pradesh. RPN Singh was a three-time MLA from Uttar Pradesh, so right ahead of UP polls now. He's quit the Congress again, as in terms of perception, comes as a big dent for the Congress. In fact, RPN Singh was also a former minister under the UPA government, and he succeeded in securing Jharkhand for the party, the Congress party. He was responsible for, he was, in fact, now just moments ago he resigned. He was responsible for Jharkhand's at least 15 MLAs. So now this comes as a big concern for the Congress party, undoubtedly, on their prospects and their future in Jharkhand as well. Now, Maushami, over to you again. RPN Singh now, I did list out the reasons to why the Gandhi family is certainly going to feel upset, even if they do not say it. So far, no word coming out formally from either Priyanka Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi. It's just Supriya Srinath who's spoken, saying that good riddance. That's almost her conclusion there. She says, not too sure how a person can quit the Congress and join the BJP when the ideology and principles are totally opposite. But here it appears that the Congress party clearly has not even attempted at pacifying RPN. We spoke to Sanjay Jha just moments ago. He's also put out a tweet there saying people don't leave their company, they leave their bosses. Now, was there any kind of tiff between RPN Singh and the Gandhi family?
See, the things that we know are very important to read between the lines and the messaging. we know of the fact that the top leadership of the Congress party knew about the buzz that RPN could well join the BJP. There has been a buzz for a long while, but I spoke to senior leaders in the party and close aide of the Gandhi family, and they knew that there was a lot of rumor mongering on the social media. As far as Priyanka Gandhi is concerned, she's already made a stand clear that she didn't try to stop leaders from leaving. So there was no reach out attempt by the Gandhis to stop RPN Singh. And importantly, you know, the reasons for RPN to leave are very clear. Importantly, RPN Singh, after the first defeat in the Lok Sabha elections 2014, still stuck to the Congress, was close to the Gandhi family. But when a repeat happened in 2019 and there was a brainstorming meeting of the Congress party, the Congress Working Committee, Rahul Gandhi had said that Prime Minister Narendra Modi, people are not attacking him, Congress leaders are scared of him. That was because there was somewhere Rahul Gandhi, after his resignation, felt isolated, that he was the only lone warrior fighting against Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And he said it in the Congress Working Committee meeting that people are scared of Narendra Modi. That's what our sources told, and there was a verbal exchange between RPN Singh and Rahul Gandhi. Sonia Gandhi had to intervene in that meeting to say perhaps we should make a conclusive policy on how we are going to take this battle forward, and we need to stay united. But RPN had rebutted the allegation, saying that we are fighting the BJP day in and day out, but we think it's bad politics to put personal attacks on the Prime Minister, attack him in personal capacity on his personal front. We should attack the policy of the government. So that was the first big fissure that erupted. This was about a year and a half back. So that's the first fissure that erupted between the Congress and the Gandhi family. Still, he remained close to Sonia Gandhi. Sonia Gandhi used to speak to his mother. His father was an old congressman and remained a minister in the Union cabinet in Indira Gandhi's during Indira Gandhi's time. So family-wise, there was bonding, but the rift was wide open for everyone to see. And with Priyanka Gandhi Vadra stepping in, RPN increasingly felt sideline, just been wished away to Jharkhand. So and you know, it is really important to note that increasingly, while the leaders left, the leaders who were left weren't given enough weightage. RPN felt that was on purpose. With the new team of Priyanka Gandhi Vadra and new team of Rahul Gandhi, there was a sense that they didn't have the political acumen and the bandwidth to handle the charges. Remember, he was not a part of the G23. We did learn that he was asked to sign it. He refused to sign that because he was very close to Sonia Gandhi and was a principled congressman at heart. So when the Congress says that it is merely, good riddance to bad rubbish, I think Supriya Srinath is forgetting that she is relatively a new entrant in the Congress party. These are old-time loyalists of the party who stood through thick and thin, and for the Congress to turn a blind eye and to just say that they are cowards is actually not dealing with the answer or with the acute problem that the Congress is battling with. Nabila.
Well, there certainly seems to be some decay which the Congress either refusing to spot it or just is oblivious. Thank you very much, Maushami, for joining us with those details. India Today continues to track this news break. We were the first to bring to you RPN Singh resigns from the Congress now, all set to be joining the BJP at 2:30 p.m. We're going to continue tracking these details. We're going to slip into a short break. Stay with us.